Tate, you know you're going to have to make the intro and outro music for the podcast, right?
Oh, yeah.
Because I'm
It'll
not
just be a
fucking
bunch
doing
of screaming.
Hello.
Hey, I am. Hello.
Hello.
Hello. I'm feeling pretty good. I'm feeling good. I've got my coffee that I've nearly smashed all of it already. But
I've had too many coffees today already. I start feeling the handshakes.
This is only my first. Yeah, good. That's when you're at peak. Like, that's peak performance. That's that. It's when you're just
when
like,
your brain's slightly about to explode. You're like, I'm good now.
Yeah. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm better than I have been the last couple of days, which is nice. So I had a bit of a hard week, but I feel better now. I'm unemployed now.
Yay!
Oh, no. It was just getting a bit much and the job wasn't very good. So I'm actually doing some stuff with like a disability employment service. So they're going to find me something that's a little bit more suitable for me, where maybe I don't have to, like, I don't know, talk to people. She says as she starts the first episode of a podcast. It's you, though, so
Talking
it's fine.
to people. Yeah.
I'm not talking to people. I'm just talking to you, so that's okay.
I'm not a people.
I'm not a people.
Let's be honest, yeah.
Yes. So what have you been up to this week?
Oh, that's good. Look, honestly, I have been working a lot and not doing much else. It's just been like work.
You've not been affected with like the COVID stuff? You're all back to normal
See,
now?
that's the thing, right? Because where I work in IT. So I've had to come into the office every day, because of different things that have been happening. Like if there have been outages and things like that where, because we've got a lot of systems that people are set on.
So you're like the one thing that has to continue going.
Yeah.
Shit, you're essential.
I like to think so.
Aww.
Not just for COVID, but so like my day-to-day hasn't really changed. Like I've been coming into work and going home, public transport.
Well, I guess how's New South Wales? Because Melbourne's just gone back into lockdown again, so.
New South Wales, it's fantastic. I went out for a walk today. Have you been outside ever?
I don't usually, so. What's outside?
No, Melbourne is. Oh, it's that place with the good graphics but crap storyline.
Shit.
Yeah,
that's great. Good graphics but crap storyline, which is interesting because it's always grey and rainy.
Yeah, there's a couple of good side quests every now and then, but
just occasionally.
Yeah, but Melbourne's just like popped off. It's been hectic, especially like overnight.
Yeah. At least it's on the other side of the city from me, mainly, so that's okay. Like I'm not near like any hotspots or anything, but I don't do anything, so it doesn't really change anything about my life, other than like my news feed. People whinging about it, but I'm like, I'm doing the same thing I've been doing for the last 3 months.
It's pretty great.
Yeah, it's fine. Yeah. Everything's fine. Everything's normal.
You've just been prepping for this.
My whole life. I've just been practicing for this moment. Oh, no.
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. You give people tips.
I don't know how helpful they'd be. I feel like it would mostly just be like, I don't know, play the same game you played when you were 15 3 times over.
But how good, right?
I've literally been playing through the Spyro trilogy again since I got it. I finished all of the first one like yesterday. Like, and everything's 100%. Now I'm just trying to do the fucking last one and I just can't. I was doing it before you called. Nasty Nork.
Was that the... What?
Nasty Nork, that's his name. Bless you.
Sorry. It was like a cough sneeze. It was really weird. Was the first one, was that the one with Elijah Wood and David...
oh, shit, I don't know.
Elijah Wood was Spyro.
Was he?
And then...
What the fuck?
Yeah.
How did I not know that?
Yeah. And then, who was it? David... Oh, what's his name?
What
He
else
was
does he
like
do?
Joe Dirt. Joe Dirt. I'm Joe Dirt.
Oh yeah.
Remember that movie?
Hold on. Let me.
Hold up.
I don't even know which one's. Which fucking one's the
I
first
swear
one?
it was Elijah Wood.
Okay, Spyro 2 is Ripto's Rage. Is the first one just called Spyro the Dragon?
Maybe?
Spyro the Dragon voice. Christian Long.
Honor's Legend of Spyro.
Skylanders. What the fuck? I don't know.
So there was like the original Spyro games, and then there was like the reboot.
Yeah, so I've been playing the
that, like, happened
Reignited
later.
trilogy.
So that's what I was thinking of. Yeah.
Tom Kenny.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
I didn't know.
David Spade.
David Spade, right, okay.
And then Gary Oldman, Cree Summer, Corey
Oh
Burton.
my god. I didn't, wait, hold on. So when was fucking Elijah Wood in it? What's happening?
Legend of Spyro.
What, the original?
No, the Legend of Spyro New Beginning. So that was that was 2006.
Oh.
I think. So yeah.
Oh, that's when
the reboot.
Spyro
So that's the one I
started
was
looking
talking
like real square and angry.
Square and
He
angry.
does look square and angry. Wow, I can't believe I didn't know that. That's cool.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm really shit with actors and stuff though. Like, I would not be able to tell you. The only person that like I can slightly keep track of is oh my god.
That was a great example. The only person, the
I want to
single
say
person
Slatty
that I can only
Bartfast.
keep.
Slatty Bartfast
Slatty Bart-
from Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Martin Freeman?
No. Shit. Bill Nye.
Phil Nye. Okay, yeah.
Not Bill Nye, the science guy. Bill Nye. Yeah, him.
Bill Nye,
I love him.
the actor guy.
He's my gilf.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I can see that.
I love him. He's wonderful.
And like him in Love Actually.
I've never watched Love Actually.
Oh, what? It's so funny.
I don't
It's
do.
great.
I mean,
have to watch it.
I don't do comedies really or romance movies.
You have to watch it.
If it was about like,
he's in it though.
if it was,
He's in it.
yeah, oh, okay, yeah, I guess that's. Can I just watch a cut of just his bits?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
I'll do that then.
Yeah.
Can you make it for me? Thanks.
Yeah. Yeah. Sure.
Shit.
No worries.
Oh. You start typing straight away.
Is this how you do editing?
No. It's more like just staring at the screen going,
Why isn't that syncing up?
fuck! Webcam! Oh, Jesus. Okay, well, I mean, welcome to the first episode of Not As Fkd.
Hey.
It's funny because there's two of you on my screen, so there's like the you from the call, and then there's the you in the recording, and they're slightly out of sync. So once,
So if I look this way, does it look like I'm looking at myself?
No.
And then I quickly look
it's not
that way?
mirrored. Oh, for a very brief like millisecond, yes, it did work. Oh no, oh now it just froze. Okay, no, you're back.
Oh.
So for anybody that, I mean, I guess nobody knows because it's the first episode, isn't it? I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. Oh shit, I'm punching the microphone. Not As Fkd. This is a mental health podcast where we kind of just no holds barred, which I had to Google what the actual meaning of that saying is today before I put it in the bio.
No holds barred.
No holds barred. It's a wrestling term. And it means that any sort of hold against somebody else is allowed. So basically, like, essentially no rule. Like, you can do whatever.
Yeah,
so there you go.
That's what I just thought. It was just like gloves off, just like, free for all.
Yeah, like I've always known the
meaning.
meaning. But I'm like, why is that a thing? What the fuck does it mean? But there you go. It's a wrestling term.
That's really, yeah.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
It's because I couldn't figure out how to spell bard.
Wow. Just B-A-R-D.
No.
That's all you need. Yeah.
No holds barred.
Yeah.
No bards held. Do not hold your bards. They get too excited.
Oh, brilliant.
I need another coffee or a glass of
That's
wine.
great.
I feel like a mess. Okay. There's a bottle of Jameson sitting in my living room. I'm not going to touch it. So what did I say? This is a mental health podcast. No holds barred, where we just have like ridiculous conversations and related experiences. The aim of the podcast essentially is not to, I guess, some things you have to take seriously, but also like some things you need to sort of just make it normal, like a normal conversation. And my wonderful co-host Tate here and I have usually very ridiculous conversations. So we thought, fuck it, this is going to be a train wreck. But a good one, hopefully, maybe, we'll see.
A lot of confidence there.
I'm so nervous. Oh, I can't stop smiling, but it's,
You're doing great.
It's not a happy smile. I'm terrified.
You're doing great.
Essentially, we just want to do the whole reduce the stigma, just be able to talk about mental health and talk about different topics. And eventually, I'm sure that we'll be able to get questions in from people or prompts or whatever it is. And we just talk about things that, you know, we've experienced and we've been through and we know of, and we are not by any means any sort of professionals, if you couldn't fucking tell. But we just want to do our bit, and it's something that I think is both pretty important to us. We've been friends for like fucking 10 years.
A while.
A while now.
Yeah.
So we've been through a lot, and we know relatively quite a bit about each other, I think. So we thought, let's try.
Let's give it a go.
So this week's prompt, coming from yours truly, is why is this important to you? Why is Not As Fucked to you a good idea or something that sort of needs to happen? So you can go first. Just throw you into the deep end.
Yeah, for sure.
I just talked for 5 minutes, so now it's your turn.
That was great. That was fantastic.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, honestly, actually we're doing this project, a while ago, and, that sort of dropped off, and, you wanted to get that message out to people just to sort of normalize, mental health, normalize a lot of conditions that people, like 9 out of 10 people have, every day. Walk past someone, give them the old finger guns, and they're like, it's like, it's, but it's like everyone in your life, family, friends, yourself, possibly, it's such a massive thing that's just has this stupid stigma about it that it shouldn't be talked about. It shouldn't be.
Yeah, it's something that the only way to sort of make anything better is to talk about it, but it's something that's like, oh no, you shouldn't talk about that. It's like, why? That literally doesn't make any sense. What? Yeah. I guess it's a vulnerability thing. Like some people are like, oh, I don't want to be seen as, weak or fragile or whatever it is. And it's like, fucking everybody's like that, dude. What the fuck are you on about? Like, there's not a single person I don't know who hasn't had some sort of mental health, because I'm just going to go on a mild tangent here because I'm slightly manic and this is just what happens.
Go for it.
That's how I approached Tate. If you wanted to do the podcast, I was like, I'm right in a manic episode. Do you want to do a podcast with me? And he was just like, yes. Yeah.
It was just this essay. I was just like,
I was so nervous you were going to say no. Anyway.
I was thinking about it. I was like, should I just...
should I say no just to freak her out, leave her on red for 2 hours, see what happens?
Yeah.
But there's just things about like society and like the way that everything is just sort of operating at the moment that just doesn't make any sense, and it drives me insane. And I think especially with the whole COVID thing and the global pandemic, that like, yes, we've been through it before in history and stuff like that, but we've never been able to see what's going on all over the world as easy. So I think that is something that like sort of has kind of shaken the foundations.
We'll cut it. We'll edit it later. It's fine.
No, fuck it, leave it in. The foundations of sort of how things operate. And I think that now is like a good time to sort of get back, because a lot of people are being more open about how sort of shaken they were when society sort of started shaking as well and everything was sort of getting locked down. And we made jokes about it before, but seriously, nothing has really changed for me, which I'm really fortunate, but like I'm fine just consistently being at home and not leaving except to like get groceries. And that's really hard for some people. But now that we're going to have these conversations and that it's people are going to be able to listen to other people that sort of struggle, or, you know, they're not by themselves, and everybody's got something that somebody else can relate to. So,
yeah, good. I was just looking at your background. You've got so many cool things.
There's so much going on.
I was like, but I think the first thing that caught my eye was that creepy head. So basically, I mean, it's a little, what is it, like a little bust thing of like a styrofoam head?
It's a styrofoam, head. I think it's meant to hold like wigs and stuff or make masks on, but it was in the discount bin at Spotlight and I got attached to it. Yeah. So I brought him home and I was going to do the, you know, in like, it's probably like the 1600s or some shit, where they did the cranium sort of mapping, and if you had a certain thing, it meant you were like a killer or a criminal or something.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so I tried, you can barely see it, but I tried to sort of copy the cranium map on the back. I realised my spatial recognition is not as good as I thought it was, so I gave up. And instead, I just drew like a spider web behind its ear. I gave it nose rings. This is before I had mine. Barbed wire on that side. There's an upside down crucifix, teardrop, anchor. I was just trying to draw tattoos. And then a thing I got when I was in Athens. And it says 666 on the back of its neck. I don't know.
A bit creepy. Okay, yeah.
That was the point though. Yeah. Oh, and I put a hole in its earlobe for a stretcher. You see it?
Wow.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Thank you.
But that's like something that, you know, like something, obviously you've accumulated these things, and like, obviously, I mean, you might not have done them right now, but like you've been at home, and like, that's sort of like a creative and arty side to you that you wanted to, you know, get out there and make these things. And like, you've got lots of cool stuff in the background. Yeah. And it's like just looking at everything. It's just everywhere you look, there's something else. And you've got a typewriter. Like what?
I actually got that at, the op shop my grandma works at. She paid like $10 for it. It's one of the first things Kmart ever sold, and it's worth like $400. But yeah, like and it's like that with a lot of stuff. Like I started, this is so stupid. This is only within the last few days, doing like embroidery.
Oh yeah.
And do you want to see the first thing I ever did? I have it on a little scrap next to me.
Absolutely.
Guess what I was trying to write?
F-U-N. Fun. This is fun. Wow.
I've got these like blank black Kmart shirts, and on the pocket I just want to write fuck off. So I'm learning to embroider so I can do that.
Yeah. That's really cool.
Oh,
that's awesome.
But yeah, no, I mean, it's been...
What made you want to do that, Bar?
Because it's either really expensive or I can't find anything that I like that's equally as offensive. Like I have a hat that I made myself. I designed it. Yeah. I sent it off to get printed. And it's white with pink writing. You know the Barbie font?
Yes.
The font that the Barbie branding was in. So I've got that, but it says cunt.
That's fantastic.
And it's my favourite thing. Hello. Oh, he got it for me.
There it is. There it is. That's amazing. Wow.
Isn't it wonderful?
That's cursive. That's so good.
I love it so much.
It looks like such a nice hat.
It's so good. I mean, I've got a bun and
nice
shit
cursive on it as well.
It's so good. I love it so much. But anyway, that's one of my favorite things.
I can just imagine like walking down the street and someone's like, "Oh, it's a nice hat. What does it say?"
I took it to Japan.
Oh.
People loved it.
Yeah.
Probably didn't know what it said, but
that's fantastic.
But so I'm learning to do that. Lots of like painting, and I guess I keep renovating things. I keep painting the rabbit's hutches different colors.
Or as you like to call them, the buns.
The buns.
Which is so confusing.
Why?
Because like that Instagram post that you put up and you were like, I can't get my buns together or something like that. And I was like, what?
Oh, when I was trying to bond them when I was sitting in the bar?
In the bar? Yes.
Yeah, they're
in
still
the
not
bath,
friends.
Can't get my buns to bond. I was like, your buns aren't supposed to bond. I don't think.
You know what? I didn't think about that until just then. But also, I mean, it was a picture of two rabbits. What do you want me to do?
They were like small and like blended into the background.
You've just
so
got
it was
shit
just
eyes.
Like you sitting in a bath, and I was like, why are you bonding your buns in the bath? What is happening?
Super glue.
So confused.
Really glue.
I was so confused.
Fair.
Yeah.
Fair. I mean, they're adorable though, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah. Yeah. But that's something really cool that you've sort of, got into like creativity, getting that out there. Because it's hard to sometimes, especially, when you're at home all the time, or you're just in like a room or a certain space, whether that's at home or at work or something like that, to sort of get inspiration or get hyped up to want to do something and, have an outlet.
Yeah, I think that's one of the hardest things for me is that like I will get really manic and get really excited about like all these different things, and I'll start them or I'll plan them. And then because I was working like 8 till 5 and I would come home, and because I was doing something that was super fucking boring, was something that I wasn't super interested in. It was just a job, like something that I had to do. And the people that I was with, some of them were fine, but a lot of the time it was like sales and stuff like that, which is really mentally exhausting. I'd come home and I would just want to catatonically sit on the couch and do nothing. So like housework was never getting done. I found it really hard to even just take care of myself, and lots of other things. And then with this lockdown, like not having to stick to the schedule that for some reason society is like, you have to get up at 7 a.m. and have breakfast and do this. And I realized you can just fucking take a shower at any time of the day. It doesn't have to be first thing in the morning or before you go to bed. I know it's stupid, but it's a thing, right?
What?
Fuck you. But like in my head, I was like, oh, as soon as I wake up, I got to have a shower. I got to have breakfast, and then I got to, walk the dog and all that kind of stuff. But you don't have to do that. Like you can wake up, have a coffee, do the laundry, and then, have a shower at like 2:00 in the afternoon. It doesn't have to be the first thing you do. And it's like, I think I saw a thing that was very much like, someone's like, oh, I find it really hard to, make a sandwich, so I just don't eat. And then the therapist is like, you can just eat cheese and shit by itself. You can eat the elements of a sandwich without making a sandwich. And they were like, whoa. And it's just little things that sort of help you cope with stuff,
That's basically like that, that bougie thing of like how they have like say it's a lasagna, but they'll give you like the mince and
deconstructed lasagna.
It's like a deconstructed, like it's like that, but like with a sandwich.
Yeah,
like just
it's just somebody with depression made
later, just get a teaspoon of butter, and then it all mixes.
Oh, that makes me feel sick.
I still remember
teaspoon of butter
when we were at your house. And we had, I'm pretty sure you dared me to eat.
Is this a teaspoon of Vegemite?
No. We had you were getting some things, and I was like, oh yeah, that's pretty cool. And you pulled out like some chocolate, and then you were like looking in the fridge, and you were like, oh, you want some cheese with it? And I was like, yeah, do it. Oh no, it was chocolate and ham.
Yeah,
no, that's what it was, ham, not cheese.
I suppressed that memory.
Yeah. Ham.
Oh, you were gross.
That was great. It actually tasted pretty good though.
I still don't believe you. And I still refuse to try it. It's like in high school, I knew somebody, I think it was my ex, he used to have peanut butter and lettuce sandwiches.
Huh?
Peanut butter, ham and lettuce or something. It was actually really good.
Peanut butter, ham, and lettuce.
You're going to try that now, aren't you?
What? I mean, it's like, I know like lettuce is a substitute for bread in a lot of circumstances, but
in a sandwich. Peanut butter, ham, lettuce, sandwich.
Although
with
to
bread.
be fair, like if I'm yeah. If I'm ever like just out of butter for like some things, I'll just put peanut butter instead.
Ooh.
So like, I think I didn't have, was cooking some vegetables like the other week, and I was like super tired, and I didn't have any butter, and basically, and I was just like, you know what? I'm just gonna get peanut butter, and I did it, and it was actually really good because I put it in the oven, and then the peanut butter like melted all over it.
Ooh, I have satay paste. I'm gonna have satay something for dinner.
Yeah, do it.
So we got kind of off track there.
A little bit, yeah. Sorry.
Oh, this is going to happen a lot. Oh, be prepared for this. Nobody's coming back to this podcast.
Get ready.
So, why is this important for me? So, as Tate said before, I did actually start Not As Fkd probably about 11 months ago, or 10 months ago now. I have actually removed pretty much everything from that because I was doing it in a format that just wasn't sustainable. It was just me with a new guest each week, being live streamed on Twitch. And while the community and stuff that was out there was really good, it was really hard to get something consistent going. And so with this platform and with you here, it's just going to be a bit easier to actually have something and a little bit like of support rather than just me doing it all by myself with different guests each week. But the main reason I started Not As Fkd was because of my friend James Fernandez, who it's nearly a year now on the 25th of this. So this is being recorded on the giving away our secrets. I don't know when this is coming out until we get our shit organized. So it could be 6 months.
You'll have to bleep
Who
that.
knows?
You've got to bleep the date. You can't do it. Yeah.
But it's coming up onto a year of the anniversary of his suicide, which was 25th of July, 2019. I almost said 2018 because I forgot it was 2020. And so I started Not As Fkd because essentially it was so out of the blue. We had absolutely no idea that he was depressed in any sort of way. We had no idea that he was always the life of the party, but in the weirdest way. So he would come in with have you heard that mix, and it's like the Lazy Town crossed with Little John?
Yes.
So he showed me that
fantastic.
a year and a half ago. Ages and ages and ages ago. And that's the kind of shit he would bring to a party when everybody's listening to Flume or something. He's like, guys, and he'd just do the randomest shit.
Gotta do the cooking by the book.
What?
Yeah,
yeah, exactly. We almost put that on his wake playlist, but we didn't because that would have been really funny though. He would have appreciated it. But it was just so out of the blue. And I read his suicide note, and it was just so he'd never sort of explained that kind of stuff. And we're like, why did he not feel like he could talk to any of us? And I think I took it especially hard because I'd had conversations with him about how I was feeling when I was in sales and struggling and doing all sorts of other things. And he was really supportive, but he never sort of came back with I feel you, I'm struggling too. And I love him to death, but I'm still what the fuck, dude? Fuck you. And occasionally I'll get randomly very infuriated at him, and I'll still message him on Facebook. So there's a couple of messages on our Facebook messages from the last 6 months, and obviously he's not going to reply, but I'm just fuck you. Yeah. I love you. But that's totally normal. But that was the main reason that I wanted to start Not As Fkd, is because I'm he felt for some reason, I don't know if it was because of his job, because he was in the army, Air Force. Oh, he would have been mad at me for that. Oh shit, I'm gonna have to edit that one. If it was to do with his job or whatever it was, but it just seemed really ridiculous. And then there was other things with other people that were sort of in our group that we were like, shit, okay, like more of us need to sort of talk about it, because it can be like a domino effect.
Yeah.
You know, and I was like, yeah, that's not on. So I like literally reached out to every single person in our group individually, and I was like, I am here. I will force you to talk to me. I will yell at you until you tell me all of your secrets. Like, because I was like, this is not cool. This can't happen. And then a couple of people were like, oh, I don't know. Like, and then someone was like, I don't feel comfortable talking about it. And I was like, cool, well, I'm going to do this project. And even on my personal Instagram and stuff, I like will consistently put out there that like what's happening, because it's not that I want people to become desensitized to it, just not as sensitive to it, you know? Like if somebody's like, oh, I feel like absolute shit today, you're not just like, haha, same. You can be like, what's up? You know?
Yeah.
And then they can feel like, oh, this, and this. And even if it's trivial things, like people just need to like be used to not everybody reacting in the same way to things, if that makes sense.
Sure.
So that's why I sort of wanted to do this, because I've had depression and anxiety since like, I mean, fucking before we met. So how old I think we met when I was like 13.
Oh, it's just a while ago.
Yeah. Before either of us could legally drink and do the things we were doing. And it was before that, it was like even like mid-primary school, I think there were times where like, oh, fuck this, I don't want to be around this. Well, not fuck this, I mean, I was 9, but you know,
fuck this.
Yeah, things where I was like, oh, I'm getting bullied or whatever it is, and I'm like, I just shouldn't be here or be around this. It's like, that's fucked up.
Yeah.
But it's not. Get it? Not as fucked.
Yeah.
Hey.
That's clever.
Because lots of people get that. And so because it's something that I've lived with such a long time, and I think you have too, it's just like, why is it not normal to talk about when you're feeling sad and not okay?
Yeah.
It's stupid. When you're anxious about dumb things, because that's the fun kind of anxious. It's not, but you know what I mean?
It's not.
It's not. But
that's where the narrator comes over and goes, she lied.
But everything's not okay. But yeah, so that's why this is important to me, because I just want to normalize those conversations. And I think hearing other people talk about the same sort of thing, and you can relate to them in any sort of way, is really helpful enough, even if you're not at the point where you can talk to people around you or strangers on the internet or whatever it is, or you can't even like admit it to yourself yet. You can hear somebody else explaining what they're going through, and just having a casual conversation about it, it'll slowly ease you into it too.
Yeah, for sure.
So yeah, that's my bit.
Yeah.
That's my bit.
Yeah.
I've been speaking.
No, I think it's awesome, because it's like, Sarah, talk. I mean, this is the outlet for it.
It's a podcast. We're meant to talk here.
Talk for exactly. There's no time to talk like right now. So, and that's exactly it. And it's like, especially in, you know, that sort of circumstance where you lost like a good friend, and there's so many people that are affected by that, and on different levels. And, you know, some things might happen straight away where you're feeling like sad or upset or anything like that. Or, you know, it might be something much deeper where you know, start to question your own worth, your own life and all that sort of stuff. But things might not happen, like you were saying, you know, for months. And then, you know, it'll hit you, and then you'd be like, why didn't this happen? Why didn't this happen? Why didn't you say this? And, you know, it's especially hard in the circumstances of suicide, because it's like, that's so final. And it really makes you question yourself.
Yeah.
From like a close friend.
Yeah. And I think that if like, and going through a lot of the sort of grief stages that I was going through, I was trying on purpose to be very open about it so that other people didn't feel like they had to sort of hide it.
Yeah.
And I did get a couple of messages from people who have sort of gotten over it now, but this was over a year ago, and they were like, oh, you shouldn't really be sharing stuff like that. And I was like, why? And they couldn't give me an answer. They were like, it's private. And I was like, why? And it was like an older generational thing where like they thought that that kind of stuff had to stay hidden. And I'm like, no, that doesn't make sense. That's why people die. Like, what? you know? So, yeah.
I mean, that's the ultimate thing of like Socrates.
Yeah.
You know, that's the why. Why isn't this, like, just continually asking why until you get to the root of the problem.
So I have this thing. This is so stupid. So I was thinking about that in a philosophy class that I had like last year. And I have borderline personality disorder, just to make this a little bit easier for people as I describe different things that happen. And a lot of that is me being existentialist as fuck. So... So there was a point where we were doing something on Socrates and they were like, just constantly ask why. Every question ask why. And it got to the point where I was like, why is a chair called a chair? And like my brain just broke. And I was like, no. So I had to leave the classroom.
Why?
Yeah.
Why is why?
Yeah.
Why?
What is why? Why is why a word? How do you spell why? Why is why not spelt with just a Y? Why is there an H in why? Like just, you know, you just get down to like the tiny, don't do this to me, the tiniest little bits. And that a lot of the time my brain will just start on that tangent. And that's sort of like what happened earlier when I was thinking about like society is like being shook. And I was like, what is society? Just in the back of my brain, because it's just always like that. There's just always something in my brain that's like, why? And it's scary. Do you want to talk a little bit about your history or anything?
My history? Well, back in 1939.
I knew you were going to fucking do that. As soon as I said history, I was like, here comes the voice.
But like, honestly, the first circumstance, the first recognition of depression that I ever had was when I was so young, and I think I was still in primary school. Maybe it was.
See, that's fucked up because mine was as well. It was like primary school or just on that cusp. And you're like, fucking, how old are you then? Like, Jesus.
Yeah. And but I didn't even realize what was happening for years. But basically, I was always in my room playing games. Like sometimes I'd go out and see my friends and go and play and stuff like that. Like, you know, like every kid, whatever. But I was just, I was sitting in my room. And then my brother came in, and I can't remember the full story.
Just a side note, I always forget you have a brother. Like I'm always aware of Giselle, but I always forget you have a brother because I've met him twice in the 10 years we've known each other. Yeah. Like, anyway.
Yeah, well, like I was just, I remember I was probably just being an idiot as a kid, you know, as I do. And I was sitting on the floor and then he came in and we're having a sort of conversation. And then he was like to me, he was just like, are you depressed? And like, but like as a kid, I didn't even know what that was.
That's such a cool thing for you. Like, it sounds weird, but I think that's such a good thing for him to be like, and be like open enough to just be like, hey, what's wrong? Are you okay?
Yeah. Well, he's like 5 years older than me. Yeah. You know? But like, at that time, I didn't know. And I was like, no, I'm not sad. What do you mean? You know, and it's like a vague memory of just like having a conversation about him, like saying, oh, you know, not quite, you know, it's kind of like you're sad, but like you're not, but like it's something that's deeper within you that's, you know, and I was like, as a kid being like, shut up, big brother. Like,
eat boogers, turd.
I'm not sad. Yeah. Up your bum. But like, you know, that's like, honestly, like the first sort of like thing that always sticks with me was like how someone managed to see that so far back, you know? And then, it wasn't until obviously I got older and realized that it was like, it was something real. Like it wasn't, you know, just being sad or something like that. And then actually learning about what that was, that's always, stuck with me. It was I don't even know how old I was. That's far out.
So that's crazy because, like, for me, it was more of like a self-realized thing that something was wrong, which I think is like really fucking weird to think about because, like, I went through all of high school and I was like, none of these. It was me being existentialist before I knew what existentialism was. I was like, none of these relationships I have with people are real. Like, like how just this is how my brain works. I'm so sorry. It's that like I'm sitting there and I'm like, I don't feel like I belong in any of these groups. You know, like I didn't necessarily have a friend group besides maybe like the theater group that we were in where we met.
Yeah.
But like I didn't really. So there was kind of like cliques, but not cliques. Like it was like you and Ghislaine and Lane and stuff like that were all, you know, the talented cool kids. And I was like,
Oh, stop it.
But like it was all just stuff that was sort of manufactured in my head. And like I didn't realize that for a long time. And when I explained it to someone, I was like, oh yeah, but like these people are like this and this group. And they were like, what the fuck are you talking about? And I was like, oh, well, that's just how it feels. And they're like, that's not normal. Like, and it's not that it's not normal, but like, you shouldn't feel like that. And I was like, what, really? Not everybody feels like this? And she's like, no. And I was like, fuck. Like, and that was probably year 10 or 11. And oh no, it was during High School Musical. How old were we then? Yeah. But it was during that. And she was like, you shouldn't, like, not everybody feels like that. And I was like, what the fuck? And she's like, you should speak to somebody. And I was like, that's a thing? What are you talking about?
I'm talking to you. What do you mean?
Yeah. I'm talking to my imaginary friend, Steve.
Yeah. The head in the background.
That is the problem.
Right. It was personified.
That's my therapist. Yeah. That's why his eyes look like that.
I think your therapist needs a therapist.
Yes. Great. Yeah. That's that one. No, all the skulls in my house are therapists.
Yeah. That's the thing. Like, I mean, we were all just sort of like there. I don't think there was really. But I mean, that's also the thing of like, for someone on the outside of that, just sort of looking in, might have seen, you know, like a click or something like that. But I mean, I always felt like we were all just big idiots.
But I think it was like, I think it was me just sort of like being self-conscious and like doubting. And like, because of the way that my brain works, like I very much need to be reassured that people actually like me and they're not just tolerating me. Like that's something that is genuinely diagnosed with me. Like I will consistently in the middle of the night wake Tanner up and be like, do you still love me? Are you happy we're married? And he's like, yes, go the fuck back to sleep. And I'm like, okay, thanks. Good night. Like I just need that.
Sort of check.
Yeah, I just need to double check because in my brain I'm like, no, people aren't always honest about that stuff. Sometimes they just put up with it. Sorry, the hiccups. And I was like that all the way through till now. And it just took me a really long time to be like, oh, not everybody is like that. Not everybody needs constant reassurance, but a lot of us do. But like nobody really talks about it.
So then what helped you get that realization? Or come to that realization? Was it like talking to people? Was it like just sort of self-discovery? Was it?
I don't know. I really don't know. And I think it was just like, just like talking to people and them not sort of being worried that their friend group didn't actually like them. And I think it was just me internally. And even then, like I didn't really talk about it, but I was like, oh, these people don't act like that. What's wrong with me? And then it wasn't until like the last year or more. Yeah, I'd say a year that I've actually been talking to like I struggled by myself with it for such a long time. And then it's within the last year that I've actually been talking to someone. And I'm like, why is this? And he's like, oh, well, let's explore some, like, why do you feel like that? And I was like, I don't know. He's like, think about it. And I'm like, no, I don't want to. But it's made me sort of get more used to the idea that like people sort of have their own lives and they're worrying about other things. Like that's not their main concern, but it's just sort of like lots of different things that sort of build it up. And it's just making it easier for me to not worry too much about it anymore. Like being okay, being in my house with my video games and my terrible embroidery. And things
You'll
like
get
that.
Better.
Yeah, I fucking hope so.
Yeah.
That like, I'm like, oh, I'm all right like this. Like, I don't need to have 10,000 friends and be everybody's best friend. Like, it's just sort of learning to sort of, for me, it was learning to sort of enjoy my own company and not need to have like all of the friends possible.
Yeah.
Which, because I think I was taught when I was younger that, like, you know, it was very like social. My parents are very social people and I'm not usually. So I think in my head I was like, oh, I've got to be more social like mum and dad. But then my therapist is like, you don't have to if you don't want to. And I'm like, oh shit, what? Really?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Bye.
Well, on that note, I'm leaving.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think that's like like the bottom line is like realizing who you are and what you are is enough.
Yeah.
And you don't have to be something else, you know?
Yeah, I think that was one of the hardest things for me because like what I like this dude up here, my styrofoam man, and like my hair and my tattoos and my piercings and things, what I like, and like playing video games and things like that, and horror movies is not, for some reason, what people define as normal, which I hate using that word because it doesn't actually mean anything. It doesn't exist, really, if you think about it. I mean, nothing exists if you think about it, but
Stop it.
And it's because, like, I like to have my house decorated with colourful skulls and a chalkboard that says damn in Gothic English writing, stuff like that, you know?
It looks really cool, actually.
Thank you. It took me a really long time to do. Yeah. And just, like, filled with shit that makes me happy. And it was really hard for me to sort of realise that I can just do that. Like, it doesn't have to be to other people's sort of standards, which is nice. Mm-hmm. And I think that's something that I've been really trying to learn with the last year, especially after everything with James, is that, like, I really want to just start being my more authentic self, because otherwise I'm just going to be miserable and end up in the same place.
Yeah. So
I think that's really what my focus of the last year has sort of been, is just trying to be more of my authentic self. And my authentic self is talking about this shit.
That's great.
Yeah.
Growing as a person.
I'm flowering into a beautiful butterfly. Oh, no, I mixed some metaphors.
Into a beautiful butterfly. Just going back to, like, the start of the episode, looping all the way back. Because
it's fine. It's our first one. It doesn't have to be any good.
It's fine. That's fine. Next week, though. Whew,
the pilot episode's always terrible.
Yeah.
Never makes sense.
But I mean, it's like we've been saying, like, mental health is such an important thing of everyone's lives, whether it's about yourself, whether it's a close friend, whether it's family. And, like, I know, you know, we both, had ourselves and family and friends. Probably shouldn't be hitting that. But, like, around us that we know in, different levels have opened up somewhat, or have not opened up because they don't feel comfortable, they don't want to, type thing. And it's like when you talk to your friend and you say, how are you? And they're like, yeah, good. How are you? It's like, that's so surface level. But, like, when you're shit-faced at 3 a.m. in the morning and you're, and you like,
jump over a wall to break into somebody's pool.
Yeah,
sir.
Exactly.
It's my pool. He broke into my pool.
Didn't do it.
My mum knows. It doesn't matter.
Okay.
I've told my mum about all the times when she's like, where were you? And I was like, oh, Tate jumped over the fence, so we hung out. And she's like, oh, okay. Yeah.
Good. Far out. Oh, I'd forgotten about that.
Do you remember that time we took, was it your car? And we went to the beach around the corner and it was like 4 o'clock in the morning and my mum was like, where the fuck are you? And I was like, oh, I'm at the beach with Tate. And she was like, okay, hung up and went back to bed. It's like, all right. Anyway.
Yeah. This is so commonplace. She's like, oh, okay. No worries.
She's like, you with Tate, it's fine.
Yeah, yeah. If you were like, oh, downstairs, she'd be like, what's wrong? Why are you still here?
I'm sorry, I thought I saw Tate jump over the fence. Where are you? Why are you still at home? Go and get him. Feed him.
Yeah.
All right, Mum.
Feed him. But it's like, it's like in that point of like just being like on that cusp of like coming down from, well, I mean, still pretty drunk, but like it's at that point when, you know, you actually like open up and you talk about shit and, you know, you're like, so what happened in, you know, this relationship, what happened in this point? And like at that time, you really don't care.
My brain went, let me tell you about all my trauma.
Exactly. And that's exactly it. Like all of these preconceptions of what you should or shouldn't talk about out the window.
Yeah.
Like nobody cares. Like you're sitting there, whether they're going to remember it tomorrow or not.
How much absinthe
like,
did they drink?
Yeah. Yeah, sculling contest. Oh, I'll never do that again. But it's like in that moment. Sorry,
you said that just as I was drinking a gulp of water and I almost died. Anyway,
yeah. Please don't. Cool. But like in that moment, you know, everything's fine, and like you just open up, and it's such a
freeing,
such a cathartic thing to just bleh, just word vomit.
Yeah.
All of this crap that's, I mean, it may be incredibly inflated and the story might be a lot more than what it is because you're drunk and you want to make everything, you know.
Grandiose, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, it's such a good feeling to let that out, you know?
Yeah.
And it's such a good feeling then, but it could be like every day.
Yeah.
You know, you can just talk about that shit. You can just grab a beer with your mates and just be like, fuck, you know what? This week has been shit. And like my mental state has been terrible. And it's like when you messaged me, you know, and I was just like, how are you doing? And you were like, you know, I haven't been great.
I was like, this week's been like, shit. And you were like, oh, what's wrong?
It's been shit.
And I was like,
exactly.
And
but it's like, it's that thing of like, you know, you should be comfortable enough, whether, you know, it's someone, I mean, most people aren't comfortable around just like strangers. And that's why some people have issues going to therapists and stuff like that.
I fucking tell like, everybody
it should be a thing. Yeah. But it's like, you know, if someone just asks what's wrong, and it's just to be like, you know, I've been having a shit week and this has happened. And it doesn't have to be a massive deal. It doesn't have to be like, stop the clock, stop the papers. All right. Nothing's happening until we get this sorted out. Because if it's just like a natural conversation, then it just becomes so much more acceptable.
And it's like when you asked me like, how are you? And I was like, I've had a really bad few days. And you were like, oh, are you okay? And I was like, oh yeah, I'm feeling a bit better now. But like just being able to flat out just say, like, the last few days have been so bad.
Yeah.
It's just sort of like it instantly takes the pressure that sort of, I guess, is ethereally put on you from somewhere in the ether that you have to have a conversation and be like, yeah, everything's fine. Everything's great. Like my life's perfect. Let's carry this conversation like everything's totally wonderful and we live in the world from the Cadbury's ads. But like because I could just be like, it's been really shit, and you're like, are you okay? And I'm like, I'm better now, because I can say that like our conversation is fine to be kind of like shorter. Like I was just like, oh, we'll record on Saturday, and you're like, okay, cool. And it was like you could just tell straight away that because I'd had like a bad week, I wasn't down to just have like a conversation about 45 other things that I was doing. And it just sort of, makes it like a bit easier. It relieves that pressure which is it's self-imposed anyway. Which is, I think, the thing that gets me. Self-imposed pressure for everything to be fine. And to take that off, it's just like, holy shit, life is easier when you can just be honest about things.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And it's like that thing of like, you know, if you've got, if it's just like a regular conversation, then you can like tell with people, and it's like you give them your trust and they give you their trust. And it's like, if you know that that person isn't in a great space and they can open up about it, or if they don't feel like talking right now, then they don't have to.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's
no pressure.
You know, it's not exactly like speaking out and like talking about your mental health doesn't have to be like a 2-hour, 3-hour DM. Like it doesn't have to be. It's always just that constant reassurance of like knowing someone's in your corner.
Yeah.
And like willing to listen. And it's like, you don't feel like opening up right now, that's fine. We can have a chat later. We don't have to. But it's always like just having someone support you or just be there.
And just having somebody that knows what sort of, even just a little bit, what's going on, so you don't feel totally by yourself, which is such a big thing. Like I always, whenever I'm having like a hard time or something, I'll message my friend Victoria and I'm just like, or Brogan, and I message her like a big red X, you know, the big red X emoji.
Yeah.
And that's like a, just so you know, if I don't reply, whatever, I'm not okay right now. And if they're like, is there anything I can do? Do you need anything? And a lot of the time I'm like, no, I just need someone to know, so that like if in a day or two I need to talk about it, I can come back to it or whatever.
Yeah.
And just like them just know, sort of just keeping each other sort of updated on what's happening and stuff like that, and knowing that if you need someone, you might not always, but if you do, it's there.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
It's there.
Yeah. And I think that's what a lot of this will be about. It's just, I mean, the reason it's called Not As Fucked is because you're not alone and you're not as fucked as you think you are, because there's always people out there that relate to it on some way.
Yeah.
And that's the point of this. I feel like that is a good spot to end our first episode of Not As Fucked.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel it's pretty good.
Let's see how it goes in the edit. So yeah, thanks so much for listening, and I guess we'll speak to you in the next episode. I don't know how to end it.
Yeah, give me one sec.
Oh no!
I want to ask you a question. This is just a completely random question.
Oh,
all right,
no.
This is like a quiz. This is just something completely off topic. Right?
I'm so fucking scared.
There was a grilled cheese that sold on eBay in 2004 that had like slightly burnt in, kind of looked like the picture of the Virgin Mary.
Okay.
How much did it sell for? $28, $280, $2,800, or $28,000?
$28,000.
Is that your final answer?
Yes. I'm just going with the highest. You're going to be disappointed if it's...
You're correct.
So we sold a grilled cheese for $28,000?
This is, I don't know if you can exactly see that, but that's what it looks like. Hang on. That's what it looks like.
Wow, it does look like a face.
It even... Oh, I was just talking really loud into the mic. It even had...
Wait, did that say 28,000 US?
US, yes.
Oh my God, what's that to us?
A lot. 35?
That's $40,000. 40,000 Australian dollars.
For a grilled cheese sandwich that's been... It's only like a corner. It's like it's a sandwich that's been cut into a triangle.
What happens when it gets moldy?
And then, well, like the story is apparently the lady who bought it says that it's got like healing energy within it, and it has never grown mold. It has never grown mold. Go figure. How's that? $28,000.
That's insane.
There's some money to be had here.